friends, welcome back to another episode of Toilet Paper Tube TV from the art studio of the Maine Discovery Museum with Miss Trudy. Today we are going to build a model tower crane level 1 together. There is a level 2, there's an advanced tower crane, but today we're going to figure out level 1 tower crane building with toilet paper tubes with Miss Trudy in the art studio of the Maine Discovery Museum. Tower cranes are so much fun. Did you know we have a tower crane, a working model of a tower crane at the museum on our second floor? It's right next to the ship and it's for loading and unloading cargo. Some scientists and historians believe that tower cranes are what made modern life possible because tower cranes are used to move large loads up high into construction sites. So the only way we can build skyscrapers or even tall houses or office buildings or really anything is by using a tower crane. And tower cranes have some pretty simple part, but there's some pretty cool science behind it. Now think about it. You could be a construction engineering student at the University of Maine with our friend Amber Killip, and they study tower cranes and how they work. And then when you become a construction engineer, you can go and use tower cranes to actually build skyscrapers. How cool is that? So today we're going to figure out how tower cranes work. Tower cranes have some pretty simple parts. Real tower cranes are not glued down. They have weights at the bottom that balance out the weight of the load, whatever is in the bucket or on the hook that the tower crane moves around. Now tower cranes move loads back and forth. And then back and forth in this direction. And up and down, which is the most important part. So we have the mast or the main body of the tower crane, and we have the arm or the boom of the tower crane. And our tower crane works like this. Move it where it needs to go. And I have put stickers down for loading and unloading. So when you build your own tower crane and you make your own pretend construction site, you need to think a little bit about where this stuff is going and why. So we have loading and unloading. So my tower crane goes like here. Oops. Bucket is down. There you go. And I'm going to load it with pennies. You could load yours with Legos if you have a big Lego construction project going on. And then I'm going to move it up a little bit in case there's little pretend people, construction workers walking around in my construction site. So I can move my load up like this. All the way up. And then move it over. And then almost. Okay, I'll try that again. See, I need to move it over a little bit more like this. And there, in the unloading zone. How awesome is that, right? So we're going to look at all the different parts. I'm going to show you how to put one of those guys together. If you wanted to, you don't need to use pennies. You can use other stuff to move on. So, for example, let's say this tower crane is part of a fantastical, magical zoo experience, and you have chimeras or crazy pretend mushed up animals to move around. You can move our tower crane back into the loading area like this. Okay, there we go. And everybody in the pool. So we have spino fishes, and we have stegosaurus, and we have the Ibexosaurus. It's getting full in the bucket, but I think we can do a couple more. Pachycephalococcus and Sheepbottosaurus. They're all in the bucket. Okay, I'm going to move them up a little bit. Careful and slow, so you don't want them to spill out all over the place. Move them over. Oh, there's so much wind today. Careful, careful. And ready to depart for your enclosures, little creature friends. All right, ready to build one? I'm going to show you how. We are going to build a working tower crane model out of toilet paper tubes and related tubes, okay? So the first thing you need to do is find yourself a piece of cardboard, really any box that you have, any large piece that you have in your house, to put the base down. Because the base is what holds your body, your mast in place. It's called mast, I'm going to have to look that up. And the base allows your crane to swivel, okay? Which means you need to think about this a little bit. You need to have two tubes that fit into each other or over each other. So if you manage to snag yourself one of those paper towel tubes, you need to find a toilet paper tube that either fits over your paper towel tube, or if you have one of those bigger tubes, that's okay too, because that can fit over your toilet paper tubes. So either you have an innie toilet paper tube or an outie toilet paper tube, it doesn't matter, as long as they kind of slide over each other so your two components can move. And then the toilet paper tubes have to be attached to the bottom. They have to be attached pretty securely because there's going to be a lot of movement. Now mine are hot glued. If you have a hot glue gun, ask your girlfriend for help and just glue that puppy down. Make sure it's all cold and settled before you continue. If you don't have a hot glue gun, that's okay. You can use tape to attach your toilet paper to. So you find yourself a piece of cardboard. It doesn't have to be fancy. Could be the lid of a shoebox. Could be really, if your parents are okay with it, if you have a cutting board that you're not using, or a cookie sheet, that works too. But most of us have some piece of cardboard kicking around the house. Find yourself a piece of cardboard and the tube that you want to use for your bottom part. Again, double check, make sure these things fit over or into each other. So this one works for me. It's also the one that's a little bit stiffer. All right, so how do you attach that tube to that cardboard? Pretty simple, right? You take tape, but hold the phone. There are a few things to consider. Now, best choice is duct tape. Second best choice is some kind of masking tape. And then third best choice is office tape, which works too. You just have to know a few tricks. Well, by the way, if you don't have hot glue, you can use tacky glue. You just need to wait probably a couple hours at least, or maybe overnight, for this to dry. But let's do tape because I don't have a whole lot of patience. And if I do a project, I want to build on it from start to finish. So let's look at duct tape. So you might think easy peasy, right? You take a piece of duct tape and you just kind of squish it around like this, right? That is not the best way to attach those two tubes to each other. The better way is to not go around, but go down and out. So touch the duct tape to the tube. See what I'm doing? I'm making sure all of the duct tape, all of that good stickiness actually sticks to the cardboard. Squish that down and then fold this over like a little cape. Decide where you want your crane. If you have your areas loading and unloading on the piece of cardboard, you want to put the crane towards the end a little bit so you have other places for some fun stuff to happen. So middle and back, touch the tube. So this is hopefully sticking, right? Make sure you rub this on really good. Put the tube down and then you rub that tape on the cardboard like this. Okay, and then you have to do it on the other side because if you don't, right? Oh, wait a minute, that would be cool if your crane could lay on its side. That might be a different project, but I would tape down both sides or even three sides, all right? So, do the same thing on the other side. Don't worry about that sticking up a little bit. If you are a stickler for detail, you could snip that a little bit. There you go. Another piece. Oof. Rub, 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 rub. Up, down, and squish, 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 squish. Okay? And that's pretty solid, right? Look at this. look at this. Look at this, right? You can do the front too, but that's pretty solid. Now, I'll do the front too. Right? Oh, sorry. Alright, so same thing, you go here first. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. There you go. Okay, so now we need the middle part or the mast of the tower crane. So we have our matching piece of toilet paper tube. Hold on. There it is. So this one was our matching piece. Okay, it moves back and forth, up and down if we want to. And now we need to put in a guide for the boom or the mast. Not the mast, the boom or the arm or the stick. You don't have to be all that fancy. You could very simply punch 2 holes. I'll ask your grown-up to punch 2 holes through the tube. Make sure they line up. So if you look through one hole, you can see right through the other hole, because if your hole is over here, that's not going to work. So simple version is 2 holes. Very easy, right? And if you put your stick through, that works. It's a little wobbly, but it works just fine, right? There you go. But if you like it a little bit more fancy, you can make yourself a guide for the stick, for the boom or the arm right here. And my guide is made with a piece of straw. Okay? So you want to make a fancy one. You take a piece of straw, and the straw needs to be attached to the top of the middle part, or the mast. It's called the mast. We have to look this up. Shit, we have to redo the whole thing, Miranda, if I just use the wrong language on that, okay? So straw goes to the top. Okay, simple way to attach that straw, super easy, is a little piece of tape. You don't even need duct tape for that. There you go. Because remember, this is not moving, it's the stick that's moving. Okay, fancy way. So you take your hole punch and you punch a half a hole. So we have a little bit of a little dip like that. And you could also use scissors for that and just kind of cut a little notch. There you go. Then I used hot glue because I was in a hurry, but you can use regular glue or, you know, the low temperature hot glue, or again tape it. Now you have a little place for your straw to rest in, and now you have a fancier version of your crane. And there you go. And it still works, right? Now the only other thing you need to do now is attach your bucket. Do you have to use a bucket or cup? No, you can use anything you have at your house. You could use a paper clip and make a hook. You could use a little fridge magnet if you want to make this into some kind of a magnet tower construction activity. You could use recyclable and have a pretty large bucket to move your snacks around. You can cut up a paper cup, or my favorite, you can use an Easter egg. So all you need to do is attach your bucket, whatever version you have, to string, and attach the string to your boom. Okay, easy peasy. If you use a bucket, you can use the whole bucket. You can just tape pieces of string to your cup. You could hole punch holes into your cup and tie pieces of string. Okay. I would attach 2 pieces of string and then attach them in like a Y shape to the boom, because if you go through, you have a piece of string in the middle of your bucket, and that's not going to be as much fun when we do advanced tower crane building. Or you can just wrap the string around it and attach it to your arm. And I just attached mine, I just tied it on to the arm. that can come loose sometimes, so you just take a little piece of tape like that and just kind of tape the whole thing in place, just so that it stays. Because those knots can come really loose. There you go. And now it's not going anywhere. And you can experiment, because engineers need to do lots of experiment to see what works best for you. And there you have it. Now all you need to do is decide what your construction site looks like and what you're going to be transporting and what else you can do with a construction crane like that. And you have a working model of a tower crane. So see you next time at the Maine Discovery Museum for Toilet Paper Tube TV.
Toilet paper tube TV.